the remaining 3 episodes that are that need to be released or whatever, that he will lose his shit at some point, because like, I know that I know that like, a lot of times, a lot of the managers, they speak and they go like, "Well, did you have a go?" I said, "Well, no, there's no point in having a go at them." A few words, and I tried to calmly tell them what I feel that they need to do. But there must be a point at some point where he's so pissed off that he goes, like, "For fuck's sake, this is not good enough." Yeah. I can't believe that entire, because I don't know, maybe even if for forced reality, just for people to get the impression that that's what actually happened, because otherwise people would just think, well, actually he's being really, really calm because he knows that the cameras are in there and he doesn't want to give away like his real personality. You know what I mean? So
and also I think is a point that when he came and he was doing his press stuff, we were like, this is chill Jose. We hadn't seen, everyone assumed that he's some kind of fireball, but he's had a year off, however long it is. So we're sort of still in that vein, and he's sort of still centered as a leader, and he's doing that. So you might find as the pressure mounts, and at this point, don't forget, he's still saying, "Oh, we're still within 6 points of Chelsea. It's all still catchable at this point, isn't it?"
Yeah.
It's not like come down to the final handful of games when you're not playing in front of fans, and the shit's starting to really kind of grind up.
Yeah.
We're still in sort of we're still in the first month.
Yeah,
but across these 3 episodes, it's still his honeymoon.
You're right, actually.
I think this is why he's brought Hart and Højbjerg in, though, because these are vocal guys, and as we saw in that briefing, I'd like to have seen it with Joe Hart in there, because when Harry called everybody out as either being lazy or just not doing their job, no one said anything. There should have been, people should have had a conversation at that point, and it just seemed all very quiet.
It was true, though. It is true. How many times have we stood there and gone, well, there's no movement, no one's doing anything?
Yeah, exactly.
So, he's not lying. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
They do hide on the pitch. They don't go and show for the ball.
They do.
Pundits have said it, like, where are the options for the players on the ball? Where's the movement up top? So, it's clear as day, and it's kind of good that actually this stuff is being recognised, and all of us armchair pundits are actually we're a lot closer to the truth than we thought we were, because apparently they recognise it.
Well, we're gonna see what José was like, obviously, with the period we lost to Wolves, lost to Chelsea, then we went out the FA Cup to Norwich. That's an interesting Amazon show. That's going to be. And you're going to see him probably lose it with the FA Cup loss, I think, to Norwich.
I hope so. It would be good to see that.
We had key injuries. Harry Kane weren't starting or playing. He had no Davis. He didn't have the team that he wanted to play. And he was bric-a-bracing a team together.
Yeah, it was just pieced together, wasn't it?
He was piecing together the teams at the time. Yeah. And, obviously, with the COVID break, he got his team back together again and started getting the results towards the end of the season, didn't he?
I don't know if you remember as the season actually progressed. Okay, when we lost to Man United, there was that interview that Sissoko did, where he said that Jose gave us the instructions, and the team just didn't do it or didn't carry it out.
That's right.
I don't know if you remember that, but then in the it's quite funny, because in the Amazon thing, prior to the Chelsea game, and again, we don't know if how and when some of these interviews take place and where it's stitched together, but there's a bit where, like, so after the Man United game, they talk about he talks about them being bastards on the pitch, and they have to be bastards and try and win and stuff like that. And then they interview Sonny, and Sonny goes, "Yeah, no, I get it. We need to be bad boys on the pitch. We need to be, you know what I mean?" And then the next game is the Chelsea game,
and he gets sent off.
And
you knew that was coming, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? And it's just like, why? I mean.
Yeah, but being bad boys on the pitch isn't about kicking people, is it? It's about making sure that you win the game.
100%. 100%.
You've got to be bothered about losing. Steve, you're going to know this, aren't you? You've got to be bothered about losing. Luja. You just don't want to lose. You want 15 guys that are like that, or 15 ladies in the ladies' team. You know, you got to just hate losing.
Yeah.
You're a spoiled child if you lose. So
I hate losing. Yeah, and even even within a development environment, or whether you've got an environment where you set your team up and you want to develop the players and everything, and your philosophy to your team is to develop them and to play football the right way and all this sort of stuff. Ultimately, I still, like, even when I've set my teams up like that in the past, when I had a youth team, I still hated losing. I may not convey that necessarily to the players at the time, but if, for example, we'd lost and I'm going home, I'm in the car in a sulk, and I see like the players in the car park and they're fucking about, they're jumping about, they're having a laugh, and like the game's only just finished, and I think, like, you've forgotten about the game already. We just fucking lost. How can you be laughing and joking and being so fucking happy? So, like, I think, you're right, Stace. I think, you have to not want to lose. I think you have to hate to lose, but I don't think you need to be able to deal with the fact that you lose. Losing will happen to everyone, so you need to be able to deal with it, but not,
Matt Doherty is definitely one that you'll find that hates losing. And then you got Davis, you'll have Eric Dyer, and you'll have Toby at the back. And I still think we haven't got a natural left-sided centre back in there, but I think that's what he's going to roll with most of the season.
Yeah, he loves Dyer, doesn't he? So he's gonna play him. Yeah.
And if anything happens to Dyer or Toby, then Davis and Sanchez are coming
with his big balls.
Well, I think that Davis and Sanchez will get rotated based on who they're playing against, because it's
speed.
If we're playing against someone that's rapid up top, then he'll come in. No problem.
Yeah.
It's just a case of if we replace, or as you say, if we get someone in who's left-sided.
There's no one left-sided, Steve, is there? So you've got Tangana, you've got Davison, you've got Dyer, you've got Toby.
Well, Dyer can play off his left foot, can't he? So
he still naturally goes to his right. He goes to his right when he plays.
But he's more comfortable, I think, on his left than Toby, for example. So
he plays on the left-hand side, doesn't he? When they set up, Toby plays on the right, he plays on the left.
Just talking about Toby, that there was the bit in the show that, and this I made note, a note that I made, that there was a bit in the show where he gets his contract, and they talking to him, and they talk to Jan, and Jan's talking about contracts and not knowing what's going to happen and everything like that, and they do all this whole press bit, and he has to go and sign his missus comes in, his daughter's in there, and all that stuff, and then they go into, like, he goes into the canteen afterwards, and all the players are kind of like applauding him and shaking his hand and everything, and Jan was kind of like, yeah, that's great. Not really happy for him.
Show me your money.
It was interesting. I thought it was an interesting dynamic, because that player that's just signed a new contract or a contract extension will probably have got more money as a result of that. So that when they're signing, and you're thinking, well, I'm only on 80 grand a week. He's already signed another contract, and he's now signed another one. That's probably put him another 40 grand ahead of me, so he's probably on 160 grand a week now. What the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? Or if you're in Jan's position, and you want a contract, and you see your mate getting a contract, but you're not, the contract offer that you want isn't on the table,
Yeah.
I just wonder, how that affects the that squad dynamic.
It must affect them.
That José was talking about. It must. I think it must have some kind of effect on it. And I thought it was interesting that some people looked like they were happy, but smiling on the outside, smiling on the outside, and crying on the inside.
Yeah. I thought what was also quite interesting was what seemed to be the appearance of Eriksson, and the way that he carried himself, and the way that Jan was carrying himself, because I just felt Eriksson, he just didn't look very happy at all. He just looked like he wanted out of there totally, or he just didn't look comfortable.
He wasn't happy because he wasn't playing, was he?
Well, that's right. Yeah.
He wasn't playing because he he wasn't giving the club any indication of what his intentions were. Whereas I think in Jan's situation, apart from anything, Jan probably was putting in the effort the whole time through. I think he's probably a lot clearer about his intentions as well. So he wanted probably a longer term contract than the club were prepared to offer, but was clear, I will stay. Like if you give me a 2-year contract or whatever it is, we're only offering you 1 year. Okay, but I want 2 years. So he's quite clear about what his intentions are, and he's been there, and he's a lot older than Eriksson as well. So in terms of return value, whereas Eriksson's probably just wasn't very clear until he just suddenly came out and said at the beginning of the season, I want a new challenge. Which by then it's too late for us to really do anything. We're kind of up the creek without a paddle. Then he's in his last year, and there's obviously he's got no intention of signing. But he's come out and declared that, which means that our hands are tied behind our back in terms of any potential transfer. So unless he's prepared to stay, then it's clear from the club's perspective that they want to get him out as quick as possible. And if you're not committed, and that was the difference between Jose and Poch. Poch knew as a club we need Eriksson in terms of his ability, but Jose was like, "Fuck you." You're not committing. I'm gonna show my allegiance to the players that are gonna stick here. And that, fair play to Mourinho for that. If you're not committing to the club, then why should you be playing?
Yeah, agree.
Go on, Simon.
It's the right way to do
it. And also I think there's an element of in the performances, in a number of performances that Eriksson had played, he hadn't really been cutting it. They showed where he came on as a substitute and saved the day, and he did that a couple of times. But when he was in the Poch era, where he was coming on and he was deemed to be unhappy, everyone was screaming for him to get off and get out. So it seemed to me, and it goes back to my point, I think, which was cultivating a team of nice guys versus a team of winners. And it's like, well, I think that's what he had to do. And therefore, as you just said, if you don't know where your head's at and your head's not here, it's like, okay, fine, I'll use you as I see fit. And that's great.
Can I just ask why every time you say nice guys, you have to say it like
nice guys? Well, because I can't say this. I'm not going to say the C word.
Well, no, you could just say nice guys.
Nice guys. No, I know, but that's what Jose's saying. He's saying stop being nice guys.
No, Jose said the C word, didn't he?
I know he did, but he did. They blanked it out. They blanked it out, but he was, Harry Potty Mouse. Who knew?
Oh yeah, I know.
I think Jose swore more.
Harry Kane. Everyone puts Harry on a pedestal, don't they? So
but I mean, I think the issue was that every team talk that Harry gave, it was just F, fucking, come on, fucking.
Fucking hell, that's what it's about. Everyone's swearing. No one.
It's not
littered.
It's about the it's about the actual what message are you giving to your teammates? What message are you trying to get across to them?
We all know if you don't use the F word, you can't win a football match. That's the way of it is, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. Anyway, so I mean we've been speaking for quite a while about the all or nothing stuff.
Signings, come on.
Yes, I want to talk about.
Get on it.
So,
let's talk about Bale.
I think since we last...
It's coming back, isn't he?
Certainly coming back, no doubt about it, yeah.
I think so. But the only reason he's back at the moment is because Wales are playing.
Yeah, well, you think that, Steve. You yeah.
The bookies have got him down, have come right down, haven't they? Have you seen that? The bookies have cut his odds.
I saw
now.
Coral had him down as definitely coming back to Spurs. Funny.
Don't they keep doing that though, just to generate a bit of interest?
It's a lost leader, isn't it? Yeah.
Højbjerg and Dirty is our two.
Do you remember when Paddy was on the show, and then I think after the show when we were linked with Doherty, he said it's not Doherty, it's Doherty.
That's right.
Is it Doherty? Right. Yeah.
And then there was someone else from Ireland on
telling people how to pronounce it.
And he said it. He didn't say it was Doherty. He